Yala Sangha. We're now on day 5. I hope that you are finding the time to come to yourself and spend this time working through some movement, just a reset for yourself before your day begins or after your day has ended. I really encourage you to make the time the day before, like think about what's going to happen in the coming day and where you can fit this in, rather than feel like it's something uncomfortable that you have to just fit in your day. One of the purposes of the practice is to bring us to balance, and our body actually wants to bring us to balance all the time. It wants to have this state of homeostasis where all your hormones are secreting when they need to be, where your heart is sending your blood flow where it needs to be, where your digestion is working the way it should. And there's this idea in yoga that we want balance within our mind, within our thinking. Sometimes our thinking is chaotic, which is rajasic thinking, or in a state of rajas. Sometimes our thinking is very dull and inert, and we struggle to wake up, and that's tamasic. But we're striving for this middle ground, which is sattva, where our mind is steady, light, clear. So that's what we're hoping to do. In terms of our movement today, we're going to work on all fours. There's various positions you can move your body in, from standing, we've done some of that yesterday, seated, we've done that already. But let's move to a position where we're in all fours today. And we'll explore for the first time postures like down dog. So lift and lay your hands, lift and lay your knees. When you get to this position, see how this is feeling for you. Maybe start to just let your shoulders go from side to side, see how that feels. It's kind of nice for the shoulder blades, nice for the hips. And we can start to move through cat and cow from here. So I try to, as I take my posture into cat posture, I try not to press into my hands too much. I try and let the musculature of my back do the work. And let your belly come down. And you can do this really slowly, almost like a slinky spring. Working up through the base of your spine, down, through the base of your spine when you move in the other direction too. So we slowly work our way up. You might find little bits of your movement are not as accessible as they are in other areas. Good. And then from side to side again. Something that's useful for our shoulders and our shoulder blades. From this position, can you let your chest come down below your shoulders? And then can you lift your chest above your shoulders? So we can measure these two limits. Sometimes people, and you may be for you, this is a bit difficult, okay? Sometimes people struggle with this movement. But try and get that movement up and down, and then come to the middle, okay? Even crawling actually is a very useful functional movement for a human body. There was a German teacher, Günther, who's also a student of my teacher's, who was a surgeon, and he really encouraged his patients to crawl each day. So maybe you can crawl to the kitchen after this. Keep your right knee slightly towards centre and float out with your left leg. Okay, reach your toes a little bit further than you think you can. And see if you can reach them behind, and then drop your left hip and then lift your foot a little bit higher. And you'll feel the back of your leg. You might feel your glute muscles working. I'm going to bring that knee forward to your elbow. And just go through this movement a few times. Taking your gaze forward, it lends itself to cat and cow posture as we do this. Okay. Try and keep the hip low. Try and feel like you're reaching out as far as you can. We lose some of our mobility as we age, so we want to go through the full range as often as we need to. Next one, we're going to land our left foot outside our left hand. So see if you can bring your knee forward. Place your foot outside your left hand and move this around here. slightly forwards and backwards, taking your weight forwards, taking your weight backwards, maybe connecting your knee and your shoulder and make some circles with your body here. It's almost like a movement massage for our bodies. And then from there, can you walk your hands back a wee bit and forward a wee bit, okay? Now you might be able to come all the way back to a single leg kneeling position with your legs straight out in front. But you need to play with that. It might not be possible yet. And come forward again. From here, slide your right knee a little further back and sink your hips slightly closer to the floor. Turn to your left leg and inhale up with your left hand. Exhale, let it come down. Okay, try that one more time. Try and create length through your body, keep that length, and then from the position of foundation and then length, then make the movement. Good, and then let your hand come down. Send your left leg back. Start to play with the position of your hands, position of your knees, and then extend out through your right leg. Reach towards the back of your space, reach a little bit further, lower your right hip, and then lift your right foot. Feel how the back of your leg has to work and your glutes have to work, and then draw that forward. Let that natural cat and cow posture happen here as you float your foot out and bring it forward. Slow inhales, slow exhales, and that can be in rhythm with your movement, or you can just be breathing slowly in a way that feels comfortable for you. On the next one, land your right foot outside your right hand. Okay, see if you can move slightly forwards and backwards here. Maybe moving side to side. Okay, maybe connecting your knee and your shoulder and making your circles from here. Good, like we did on the other side, can you let your weight come back, 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 and maybe come to a single leg kneeling position, see how that feels. It's not necessarily going to be possible, so you like everything, we have to take our time, tease this movement out of our body, okay? Coming forward, let your right leg come back, and we'll come to our kneeling position again. Now if you're finding kneeling tough, then just keep working and bringing it forwards and backwards. If you're finding kneeling's a bit more comfortable now, you can take your hands behind and even let your knees come up and down here. See how that feels. Keep a smile on your face. Good. Good. And let your hips rest into your heels again. Okay. Bring your hands forward. We're going to do our first exploration into down dog, which will help open up the back of our legs. We'll see how it feels for us to do that. So the way I like to do down dogs, tuck your toes underneath and let your hips come back towards your heels. And from there, as your hips come back towards your heels, you might bring your hands a little bit back, rest into your hands, so you're not pushing like, ugh! Okay, it's not a forced movement, and let your knees drift up and down. Okay, let your knees drift up and down. Okay, once you have this movement and you can hold your weight here with your knees off the floor, what most people feel tempted to do is go forward, okay? Try and keep your weight back and just let your heels drop down. And drop into your downward facing dog, pedaling out one foot, pedaling out the other foot, seeing how that feels. If you feel like your shoulders are drifting forward, which is really common, then bend your knees and let your belly come to your thighs. Check your head is relaxed, your neck is relaxed, so you can look underneath one armpit, look underneath the other armpit, and then let your knees drift down again. Walk your hands back towards your knees, and let your hips rest on your heels. So again, we're in this position with our toes tucked under that we've been trying a couple of days ago, and see how that feels. So let's take this movement a little bit further, take our down dog, a little bit more options with it. Bring your hands forward again. Let your knees come up, heels go back and down. And all we're going to do is bring our left foot to the centre and reach back towards the back of our room with our right foot. And maybe we can move our chest a bit closer to our left leg. And maybe lower your left heel towards the floor. But if that feels too much for the back of your leg, be very gentle with that, bend your knee more. And then try that on the other side. So bring your right foot to the centre, send your left foot back, point your toes towards the back of the room. Take some slow, easy breaths here. Maybe lower your right heel. If that feels okay, it's quite intense in the back of your leg. We're just lifting the left leg the same height as our hip. Good. And then pedal in your down dog again. Stay in down dog. Reach your right foot back again. This time we're going to try and bring our right foot forward outside our right hand. So this time do bring your weight forward over your hands. And land your right foot outside your right hand. Okay, so from here, make things comfortable. So lift and lay your hands, lift and lay your front foot, slide it in or slide it out, lift your hips a bit higher or lower them, see how that feels. Okay, try these two movements. So sometimes in class I would suggest it's a bit like a tent shape you're making and then a bit like a hammock shape. From there, turn to your right leg, place your right hand on your right thigh. See if that feels okay for you. Sinking down, open up the hip flexors at the back, and inhale, reach up with your right hand. Exhale, let it drift down. Try that one more time. Inhale up with your right hand, and exhale, let it come down. Good. What we want is good form, right? I know we're not doing a lot of movement every day, but we're trying to get our form and our control good in our movement. See if you can step back into downward dog from here. Pedal out your heels, see how that feels. Relax your shoulders, look underneath your armpits, checking your neck is soft and relaxed. Take your left leg back, reaching towards the back of the room. And then float your left foot forward outside your left hand. Again, make your adjustments with your hands. With your feet, sink your hips a little bit lower. See how that feels in this hammock position. And then a little higher into more of a tent position. And go between these two movements. Okay, take your gaze forward as you sink your hips. Kind of nice to get that length through the upper part of our spine, our cervical spine. And up and down again. Try this at your pace. Turn to your left leg. Place your left hand on your left knee. Sink a little bit lower. And inhale, reach up with your left hand. Exhale, back down to the floor or back to your thigh. And then let's go again. Inhale, reaching out and up. And exhale down. Okay, this time we'll place our back knee down. Send our front leg back, again back to a kneeling position. It's a really grounding position for our body to come back to kneeling. If you feel okay, another option for our kneeling before we move to squatting today is to just shift your hips slightly from side to side. Okay, so for somebody like me, it's a few inches. For some people, you might get your hips outside your feet and shift in the other direction. Okay, these are all possibilities, not necessarily necessities at the moment. Bring your hands forward, okay. Step out into your squat, or if you can, take a little hop into your squat. See how your squat feels today, and take your squat for a little bit of a wander. So the squatting position in yoga is called malasana, okay. And And there's people who really encourage us to develop our squat. And some of the ways they do it is to take it to the side. Okay, so it's almost like you're doing a mini cartwheel. Okay, a mini cartwheel. If you feel like you can go a little longer in the air, go a little longer in the air, and if you can land really lightly, land really lightly. Okay. Okay. So squat, crawl, kneel, down dog. Okay. We'll continue with more movement tomorrow. I hope that that's been helpful. These are really helpful movements for me. I want you to come to a seated position that feels helpful for you. Okay, so make sure you feel supported and that you feel steady. Okay. Take a few moments for your breath to settle after you're jumping around. And the aspect of our breath today that we're going to pay attention to is the pause. When we inhale, there's a momentary pause before we exhale. And when we exhale, there's a momentary pause before we inhale. So notice those pauses. And if you can extend them slightly, extend them slightly. As we gradually slow things down, you might find it helpful to have your hands in a different position, maybe face down on your thighs, maybe laying on your lap, maybe face up on your thighs, maybe on your abdomen, maybe on your heart. What we'll do over the coming weeks is you'll find a position, and that might change, that feels helpful for you when you come to be still. If you want to lay down in Shavasana, take some rest, lying on your back. Feel free to do that. If you're content in a seated position, stay seated. And again, let your body ground, settle. Let go, Namaha. If you have the time to stay lying on your back or in a seated position, take some more time to sit. Take some more time to rest. Rest is growth. Okay. Rest is growth. So Yala Sangha, Thank you so much for practicing today. Please be kind to yourself today. Do something good for yourself.